I was born in the dark. Humanity had long since lost its skies, its oceans, its warmth. The stars we once called our guides had faded, one after another, until the universe became a graveyard of dead suns. The stories of Earth were more myth than memory, told in whispers by elders who had never seen the planet themselves. I used to wonder if they were lies meant to keep us from despair. After all, how could a world filled with endless light and blue seas have ever truly existed? To me, they were as fanciful as dragons or gods. All I had ever known was the endless hum of reactor cores and the hollow silence of steel corridors drifting through the black. When I enlisted with the Erebus fleet, I thought I was signing up for a lifetime of maintenance shifts and escort patrols, the same slow crawl through oblivion my father had endured. There was no glory left in humanity, only survival. But survival has a way of shaping people into something sharper, harder. We weren't explorers anymore, we were scavengers clinging to the bones of a dying cosmos. Then came the signal. Our scanners caught it first, faint and fragile, but unmistakable, the pulse of a living star. Real heat, real fusion, real light. 4 days, the council argued over its meaning, some calling it a trick of sensors, others a trap laid by enemies we had not yet named. But when the message finally spread, it carried like fire through dry tinder. Humanity had found a sun, its last, perhaps, but a sun nonetheless. I remember the broadcast, the voice trembling yet strong, "We have found light." In that moment, for the first time in generations, I believed the old stories. I believed in dawn. The fleet moved like a wounded beast, slow and desperate, yet unstoppable. Word of the last sun spread across every outpost and drifting colony, and for once, ancient rivalries did not matter. Pirate clans, fractured militaries, even starving refugee ships all turned their bows toward the same point of light. It wasn't unity born of love. It was survival, and perhaps something even deeper, the memory of what it meant to hope. Humanity had always been divided, but in the face of a star, we remembered we belonged to the same species. I found myself aboard the Remembrance *, a ship so ancient it seemed to groan under the weight of history. Its hull bore scars from wars no one alive could recall, and its systems wheezed like an old soldier who refused to lie down. At its helm was Captain Elias Voren, a man carved from the same steel as the vessel he commanded. He spoke little, but when he did, the crew listened. His first words to us still echo in my mind: "We do not turn back. We move toward the sun, or we die where we stand." It wasn't encouragement. It was a law. The journey tested us almost immediately. Fuel dwindled. Food rationing cut deeper each week. Ships fell behind, breaking down in the black, their captains begging for aid we could not spare. We left them drifting, their lights fading into the dark, because the fleet could not slow. Every day we pushed forward, following that fragile beacon of warmth. But we were not alone. When the first alien ships appeared, they came like shadows, their hulls gleaming as though made of shattered glass. Their message was simple, cold, and final: the light was not for us. The first battle proved them wrong. War did not arrive as a grand clash of empires but as sudden fire in the dark. One moment our fleet pressed on, straining to keep formation, the next, ships were burning in silence as alien lances tore through their hulls. Their weapons were elegant, terrifying beams that sliced ships apart as though they were paper models. We had nothing to match their precision. Our arsenal was patchwork: mining explosives retrofitted into torpedoes, railguns bolted onto cargo freighters, ancient fighters revived from museum hangars. Against their brilliance, we looked like scavengers throwing rocks at gods. But rocks, when hurled with enough fury, can still kill. I became a soldier in those first battles, whether I wanted to or not. My post was a gunnery station on the Remembrance *, feeding coordinates into rail cannons that could barely keep from overheating. Every shot felt like a prayer, and sometimes those prayers were answered. I saw alien ships rupture under barrages they hadn't expected, their shimmering armor cracking under human stubbornness. For every vessel we lost, we swore 3 more would rise in its place, cobbled together by desperate hands and fueled by vengeance. One battle still burns in my memory. We were trapped near the ruins of a fractured moon, alien warships hemming us in, their voices on our comms declaring, "This light is not for you." I remember Captain Elias's response, cold and sharp, "Then it was made for war." With that, half our fleet rammed forward in suicidal charges, detonating reactors in blinding bursts. The black of space lit up like a false sunrise, fragments of metal scattering like sparks from a forge. The aliens had technology, discipline, control. But we had something far older, far more dangerous. We had the memory of sunlight, and we would kill to see it again. Not every wound we suffered came from alien fire. Some of the deepest cuts were carved by our own. Hunger gnawed at us with teeth sharper than any blade, and fear whispered louder than orders. Every day we lost more ships, some to battle, some to silence, and some to despair. In that void, whispers of betrayal began to spread. I dismissed them at first. Humanity had finally united for something greater, I told myself. Surely we wouldn't tear ourselves apart now, not when light was within reach. I was wrong. A faction among us decided the cost was too high. They saw the aliens not as enemies but as rulers to be bargained with. Their plan was simple and vile: defect, offer up our supply routes, our ship codes, even the coordinates of hidden refuges, in exchange for survival. I didn't hear of it until it was already happening, until their dozen ships broke formation and drifted willingly into enemy lines. For a moment, I thought perhaps they'd be spared. Perhaps the aliens valued surrender. But mercy was as foreign to them as warmth in the void. They accepted the traitors' information, then reduced them to ash with a single, contemptuous strike. Their betrayal had bought them nothing but oblivion. When news reached the fleet, the council fell into chaos. Some screamed for vengeance, others for tighter control, others for despair. "We are tearing ourselves apart," an admiral whispered, broken. But Elias stood before us all, unshaken, his voice cutting through the noise like steel. "Good," he said. "Let the weak fall away. The strong will reach the sun." I hated him for it then. Hated his ruthlessness, his lack of grief. But deep down, I knew he spoke the truth. Only the unbroken could carry the fire forward. The closer we drew to the sun, the more vicious the resistance became. The aliens were not simply defending territory, they were guarding something sacred, something they believed belonged only to them. We had thought it was just a star, faint and dwindling, the kind of light we had lost long ago. But when one of their shattered vessels spilled its data into our systems, we learned the truth. That sun was no natural refuge. It was chained, shackled by vast machines, its power siphoned and contained to fuel alien weapons. It wasn't a light to them, it was a prison. I remember staring at the decoded fragments, trying to understand. To us, it was hope, a chance for warmth and life. To them, it was a resource, caged and controlled. Humanity hadn't just stumbled into their territory, we had stumbled into their forge. We were vermin who had found our way into their storehouse of fire. And for that, they had vowed to erase us. The revelation split the fleet. Some wanted to turn back, to escape before the aliens unleashed their full might. Others argued we should seize the sun for ourselves, master it as they had. But Captain Elias's decision silenced every voice in the chamber. "We are not thieves," he said, his eyes blazing. "We are not rats stealing crumbs from their table. We are fire. We will break their chains." It sounded like madness. To attack their forges, to unleash the very star they had caged, it was suicide. But as he spoke, I felt something awaken inside me. Maybe it was pride, maybe desperation, maybe the memory of sunlight passed down in stories. Whatever it was, I knew I would follow him. Better to burn in pursuit of dawn than drift forever in darkness. The Battle of the Last Sun was not fought in hours or even days, it was a storm that raged for weeks across the void, a conflict so vast it seemed the universe itself might shatter. The aliens had prepared for centuries, building fleets with perfect symmetry, armed with weapons that cut through our ships like flame through paper. We had no such elegance. What we had was desperation, fury, and the unshakable conviction that the light must be ours. I can still see it, the faint star ahead, glowing like an ember at the edge of dying coals. We fought within its pale reach, every skirmish casting shadows across the decks of our ships. They came in waves, surrounding us, herding us, but we refused to be caged. Mining barges were turned into battering rams. Cargo haulers stuffed with explosives became torpedoes guided by human hands who knew they would not return. Every explosion was a cry of defiance, every flame a reminder that humanity had not yet gone silent. On the *remembrance*, we fought until the ship's bones shook. Deck plates groaned, alarms screamed, but Captain Elias never faltered. His plan was clear: we would drive straight into the heart of their forged ships, where the machines that bound the sun were hidden. It was madness, but madness was all we had left. I remember his final broadcast to the fleet. His voice carried no fear, only fire. If we burn like suns. Then he drove the *remembrance* forward, leading a charge that tore through the enemy's formation, a spear of human will piercing the impossible. And then it happened. The void lit up in a way I had never seen before. The star changed. Its light flared, straining against its chains, as though it had heard our call. The moment the sun broke free is seared into my memory, brighter than any wound, sharper than any fear. One instant, the forged ships stood unbroken, their chains sinking into the star like iron shackles. The next, Elias's final strike shattered the core of their machines, and the universe itself seemed to ignite. A tidal wave of fire roared outward, not sound but light, pure and blinding. Alien vessels, proud and terrible, disintegrated in the wash of brilliance, their glassy hulls melting into nothing. For the first time in my life, I saw true daylight, not the pale flicker of reactors, not the glow of dying embers, but a sun in all its fury. The fleet was torn apart in the blaze. Dozens of ships simply ceased to exist, consumed before their captains could even cry out. The *remembrance* vanished with them, Elias and his crew becoming one with the fire they had unleashed. I should have died too. My vessel was cracked, burning, yet somehow spared, tossed aside like driftwood in a storm. When the light finally dimmed enough for me to see, I realized what we had done. The sun was free, blazing unchained, its warmth spilling across our broken flotilla. We had won, but at a cost so heavy it was almost unbearable. The fleet that had set out was gone. Friends, leaders, even the traitors, all dust now. Yet humanity had something we had not possessed in centuries: light. We gathered what survivors we could, engines failing, hulls bleeding atmosphere, and drifted closer to the glow. I do not know how long the sun will burn. Perhaps centuries, perhaps only decades. But it is ours. Humanity claimed its last dawn, not as beggars or thieves, but as warriors who defied extinction. And if this sun ever dies, I know what we will do. We will rise again, search again, fight again. Because that is who we are. We are not children of darkness, we are makers of dawn.